Hello and welcome. Today, I want to talk to you about why mentorship may not be working for you, especially as a woman in male dominant industries, and how you can fix it. What I'm going to share with you today is a game changer that's going to shift advice to advancement. All right. So, my name is Malia Lim. I help women in STEM be confident leaders. I help them go from undervalued to making significant impact. So, thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that you enjoy this one because this honestly was such a perspective shift for me and a few of my clients. Like, a lot of times people are like, oh, go get a mentor, you should have sponsors and allies and all of the things. But as a woman navigating male dominant workplaces, that's kind of where the advice stops, right? They're just like, go talk to people, go find out what they're doing, go, da, da, da. And it's almost like a sink or swim. And I found that a lot of times mentorships, especially through early in my career, they would fall flat, right? Like I would kind of be meeting with people, talking about advice or my goals, and they would tell me things, and it kind of would fizzle out or like it just wasn't a match. And don't get me started on when they like assign you to other women and it's like they're tired, you're tired. It's not always intentional. Um, and so this specific hack will allow you to be able to take mentorship from anybody and seriously be able to apply the lessons that they've learned to your career in an authentic way. You see, for a lot of us women, especially in male dominant spaces, it feels forced. It feels unauthentic, like office politics. But why? Why does it feel like we're kind of playing this game that we just, I don't know, it feels icky. Like I just want to do my work. I don't want to have to schmooze and go brown nose or butter up or whatever, all these other things. And this is part of the social conditioning that happens for women and young girls, right? Like we're taught, nice girls are quiet, they do their work, and this works well when you're in school. But then when you move into the workplace, that formula for success collapses. You can't just show up quietly and lecture and do your homework in the library and then be good to go. It completely changes, the dynamic changes. And so I find a lot of my clients, especially early in their career, a lot of young women, they struggle with this idea of office politics, this idea of networking and getting mentorship, and how do I build relationships with men, especially older men, technical men who might be a little socially awkward. It just, there are levels and levels and levels, and it just gets more and more difficult. Trust me, I know. I started my career at Chevron. I became a technical specialist within 1 year of my career, and I was networking and relating with senior engineers who are like 30, 40 years in the game. And I'm this young, fresh out of college, living in LA girl, trying to network and get mentorship from these seasoned older gentlemen who were very nice guys, but it was just like, how am I supposed to do this? Like other than you telling me how to run these calculations, like what am I doing here? Like, or the one woman who is a leader that you happen to get onto her calendar between her 75 meetings is like, oh yeah, you should go talk to this person. It just, right? Right. So I want you to know that like, if you're struggling with actually utilizing mentorship, actually finding it helpful, actually knowing how to strategically position yourself and the advice that they give you to be useful to your career, this is a common thing, especially for women in male dominant industries, especially for technical industries, especially early in your career. Again, it has a lot to do with our social conditioning. There is no playbook. They just kind of say, go get mentors, you need allies, you need sponsors. And it's kind of obvious, but what do we do with them when we're meeting, right? When we're talking with them? And you can look online, they'll say, oh, talk about your goals and ask them about their career path and all these other things. This is the missing link, okay? But before I share, I want to kind of explain to you what mentorship is supposed to do for you. And then when I explain to you kind of this missing link, hopefully it clicks a little better. Basically, mentorship is all about exposing yourself to their journey in order for you to visualize yourself or your possible options based on what they've already experienced. Okay. So when we talk about confidence, to put our name in the hat for something or go after high visibility or speak confidently with presentations and do all of these things, again, that quiet girl, that shy girl that was super successful, who might not feel that comfortable being the leader of men in front of a room full of men, you know, for you to step out and try it on your own is going to be uncomfortable. But when you meet with mentors, one of the things I encourage my younger clients, who are new professionals, to do is really try to gain access to their lived experiences, because that is going to help widen your horizon as far as what it looks like to develop as a professional without you having to go through the bumps and bruises of doing it yourself, without you having to abandon your social identity or feel unauthentic or all of these other things. And by having that exposure to their experiences or what have you, you can then have more choices and decisions and say, that sounds like something that resonates with me. That sounds like something I want to go after. That sounds like something that I feel like I can do, or I can relate to the journey and all of that other thing. Like mentorship, yes, it's supposed to be guidance as far as like, hey, if you take these classes and learn these things, you can maybe get assigned to this project and all of that other stuff. But it is really the exposure aspect that you want to be able to tap into, so that you don't have to go through blazing the trail every single time yourself. You're leveraging their lived experiences to be able to see yourself in those spaces and understand what your version of a successful journey might look like. Okay. That's one thing. And then also, when it comes to career advancement, confidence in your ability to advance your career, confidence in your ability to show up as a strong professional, one that delivers value, one that has impact. A lot of times, because again, women are socially conditioned to be quiet, to be helpful rather than leaders, and all of these other things, there's a lot of subconscious values that are built into our minds that kind of self-sabotage us without us realizing it. And so another aspect of mentorship that we as women really need to be capitalizing on is the opportunity to reflect on what core values, and I'm calling them values because they're really just social conditioning that has influenced the way that we think, the way that we see ourselves, the way that we act, and the type of success ultimately that we end up getting. And so when you get exposed to somebody else's journey, you can then say, hey, the way that I think about myself is not aligned with how that person's journey is going. So I want to spend this time to reflect, maybe delete, maybe upgrade some of my mental software, because the way that we think influences the way that we behave, and the way that we behave influences the type of success that we will get. Okay. So it's not about office politics. It's not about being unauthentic to yourself. No, this is a growth journey of you deciding what serves you, what experiences someone else has lived that you can leverage for yourself, right? This is all about you. This is the complete opposite of office politics. This is a self-realization and a choice to grow into the leader that you decide you want to be. And you get to pick and choose by the experiences your mentors share with you, what really resonates with you. So for me, for example, I started as a technical specialist, and that gave me access to really large multi-million dollar projects through being the specialist that supported them. I got a mentor who would run those capital, million dollar projects. And he would share with me a lot of his experiences. And from there, I was like, ooh, I really like the fact that he has a lot of autonomy and authority in these short windows without having to be like a formal manager. Personally, I'm not I can manage, but personally, I like to be an individual contributor. And so I liked kind of that hybrid aspect of it, because you can lead, but then like when the project is over, you get to return back to an individual contributor, kind of pick up a new project, and it goes through like this, a cyclical sine curve kind of way, where you lead in some places and then you kind of fall back to individual contributor, whatever. Through my exposure to his experiences, what it's like for his work style, what it's like for different seasons, all of these things, I was able to see myself, and it resonated with my working style, with what I wanted to be able to do in the workplace. And so that is why I ended up getting a master's in engineering management from USC. But I would not have been on the career trajectory that I was able to take, where I ultimately became a global engineering specialist. I've supported over $300 million worth of projects, led capital projects groups, all kinds of different things to that level without that exposure, right? And so this is like the key. This is the differentiator that I really want you to take home today, because this is the thing that I started doing differently that really accelerated my career. It was no longer just advice. It was no longer just tell me about yourself and let's build relationships. And, will you please, put my name in the hat for an assignment here and there? Like, no, that's all surface and logistical stuff. When I started doing this key shift, it changed the trajectory of my career completely. So I'm going to give it to you in 3 steps. Okay. The first step is when you want to succeed in your career, you need to find someone who is excellent at the game. They've already become successful. Okay. So like I said, my mentor was a capital projects manager, and huge projects. He would run the show. And I was like, I'm going to sit under your wings, and I'm gonna, like, you're my mentor. Thanks. But you want to find somebody who's already seen success, right? We want to be able to emulate and learn from somebody who has already kind of gone through the battle scars and figured it out. Okay. That's key number 1. Key number 2 is observe what they do and what they say, their behaviors, how they communicate. How do they present? What do their emails look like? How do they engage with other people? How do other people react to them? How do they run their meetings? One of the things that I used to do, and I encourage my clients to do, is offer to take notes, sit in on meetings, and just be like, hey, can I sit in on your meetings and see how you run it? And and then you send them meeting minutes and follow up things, and you kind of take on this admin role, but really you're observing them, you're watching them, you're collecting information as to what does it look like to be that. This is important because you need to visualize yourself in a role that you deem successful. You need to see it firsthand, right? It's one thing to think, oh, I want to be the CEO, or I want to go into finance, or I want to do all of these things. But until you see their day-to-day, their meetings, their interactions, and all of that, you may say, whoa, that is intense. I don't want that. Or you may say, that is exactly what I thought it would be, and I'm so excited, and I see myself there. It is important that we visualize ourselves, because again, especially for women who have this social conditioning to be quiet, to be kind of the helper, to be in the background and all of those things, it is not natural for us to just automatically envision ourselves as the leader, as the most successful, as the thing, right? This is something that men are socially conditioned to be. Who wants to be the firefighter and the president and the da, 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 da. Women are not socially conditioned to do those things automatically. So when you put yourself at the same table as the person who you think is successful, you get, it's almost like exposure therapy, shock therapy. You're just like, I am fully immersed so that I can rewrite the subconscious socialization that's been going on, to where I can allow myself to truly see myself as that, to truly see I like, this is just another person, and the things that, and the behaviors and the way that they communicate is something that I can duplicate. And you start to believe it, and it changes your confidence. It changes how you show up for yourself. It changes who you believe that you can become, right? Mentorship is not just about advice. It's about being able to take that advice and change how you advance. And that changes with your thoughts. It changes with your belief system. It changes with how you see and visualize yourself. And that is done through exposure. So you need to be able to observe them as much as possible. Okay? Don't just go to meetings and talk about your goals. Observe them. All right? Now, this is the third part, and this is the key. This is the super, super key. You need to ask them questions about what is going on with them mentally. As you're observing them do things, how did you prepare? How do you feel? What are you thinking about when you're presenting? What are you thinking about before you have those conversations? Have you always felt comfortable and confident? Do you think that, like, why do you think that you have to be stern with them and not so stern with somebody? Get into their mind. Like I said, our thoughts influence our behavior, which influences this level of success. If you can reverse engineer down to their thought patterns, this is really where the meat and potatoes is. This is really where it comes down to you being able to say, I can choose thoughts. And this is the simplest thing. You don't have to stand in front of a room full of people. You don't have to send emails. You don't have to do, projects and all of this. You can change your thoughts by sitting in the same seat that you're sitting in right now. And by upgrading your mental software with thoughts, the same thought patterns that successful people have, you will ultimately rewire your brain, rewire your subconscious, rewire that socialization and the way that you process information, the way that you believe information, the way that you receive, and just all of that will change. And that is going to change your behavior, and that is going to inherently change the trajectory of your career. Like, I feel like I could just stand on top of a mountaintop right now and like shout this, because this is the part that women, especially in male dominant industries, need to do. Because guess what is the same for men and women? The ability to think. If you can understand the thought process behind the most successful people, get exposure to their thought process that leads them to their success, and choose thoughts that resonate with you, that feel authentic to you, that upgrade your thoughts, that disprove some of your limiting beliefs. If you can utilize exposure to their thoughts to be able to upgrade your own, this is an ultimate hack. Imagine like, so I ran track in college. I was a hurdler. Okay. Yeah, I ran hurdles. And what I would like, when I would run hurdles, you step over, right? And when I started to really improve my time, I would I would run faster, right? From the outside looking in, it's like Malia's just running faster. She's getting better times. Maybe she's quicker. Maybe she's coming out the blocks faster. I like it's would be difficult to really pinpoint what adjustments I was making to be able to improve my time. But one of those adjustments, for example, is that when you go over the hurdle, you spend time in the air and then you hit the ground and then you can keep running. Well, what I would do, what my coach taught me how to do is the faster you can get back down and engage with the ground and push off, the shorter that leap. And then you do it 10 times, you have now saved a whole second and a half. So instead of just going over and waiting for gravity to bring you back down, you snap back down. And so mentally, when I was implementing this technique as an athlete, all you see from the outside is Malia's running a little faster. But in my mind, I was like, as soon as I know that my foot has gone over the top of the hurdle, I am snapping it back down and I am engaging with the floor so that I can push myself forward. And that significantly dropped my time dropped by like 15%. It was incredible, right? There's no way that you would know that unless you ask me about what's going on in my mind. You can see my time, you can watch my tapes, and maybe you could see me do hurdles 100 times before it clicks and before you figure out, oh, maybe her leg is coming down a little faster than it used to. Or you could just have the conversation and ask me, what is it that you're thinking about that's been able to help you get from point A to point B? What was it like at point A? What were you thinking then? What was your thought process as you transitioned? And now that you're at point B, what are you thinking about now? What are you focusing on? Right? When you can get into the thought process of what's going on, it's more than just observing them and visualizing yourself doing it and feeling confident that maybe you can do it. You now have the inside scoop as to the thought processes necessary to be able to yield those behavioral results. This will shortcut your learning curve significantly. Like significantly. Okay? Because how we think affects how we experience, it affects our behavior and ultimately our level of success. All right, let me look at my notes here, see if there's something else I want to share with you guys today. But mentorship is not about it's not, I mean, yes, discuss your career goals and yes, find out about their career journey and find out about what work is going on and what maybe you can throw your name in the hat for and who you should be talking to and network and all those other things. But really, you want to emulate success. You want exposure to success. You want to see it done, understand it, learn how it communicates, and then you want to ask the questions, what is going on in here? And from that exposure, you can pick and choose what feels authentic to you. Ladies, we do not have to be men in a man's world. We can continue to be feminine. We can continue to be authentic to ourselves. We can continue to just upgrade ourselves as genuine, authentic people by way of picking and choosing from these thoughts and experiences that our mentors share with us in ways that resonate and feel good with us. Does that make sense? It's so much easier to grow into a savvy leader when you have options, when you have Is this still recording? I think my computer totally just died. Okay, so my computer died, but we're pretty much done. So if you have career questions, you can submit them and I will answer them here. My name is Malia. Again, I help women in STEM go from undervalued to to making impact. I'm sorry, that is just hilarious. My computer just died in the middle of this thing. I cannot believe it. But if you have career questions, you can submit them. Look in the description, the link is there. And until next time, stay savvy and plug your computer in.